back again. Just thought I'd give you a little update on what we got going in the garden today. Had a really happy surprise. The asparagus that I planted last fall is actually coming up, and it has a better diameter than the asparagus that I bought, I don't know, 6 years ago. If you've been following me, you know that I had bought some asparagus, wasn't really doing anything, and I gave up on it and I ripped it out only to have the next year it come in really nice. So this is going to be my asparagus container, and I did a little reading this morning, and garlic unfortunately is not a companion plant asparagus, so I'm actually going to take that garlic out and I'm going to be planting my basil in this container with the asparagus once it's warm enough to put basil out here, right? Basil is a warm weather plant. So in here we have fennel. Love fennel caramelized in soup. You got to caramelize it, in other words, it's really strong flavored. And I have some more fennel seeds coming up over here. And for stuff that we have, other stuff we have going, we have some parsley. And this white stuff, it keeps the quail out. They don't like it, although I might eventually get chicken wire. Here we have some clary sage that overwintered. And we also have the marshmallow root coming back. Pretty excited about this marshmallow root because the thing I'm most interested in and using this for is I want to put it in oil and extract the qualities of the marshmallow root because it's really good for your hair, right? So the next shampoo I make, maybe I'll put some marshmallow root infused oil in the shampoo. Here we have some cilantro going, some mint. I got to figure out where I'm going to put this at. I learned last year that mint may repel rats, but it also doesn't play nicely with other plants. And coming over here, we have one horseradish that made it right there. Can you see it? It's just barely starting to come back. The birds kind of chewed on it a little bit, but it's there. And I put some compost around it. Here we have some yarrow. And I do believe that down here, let's see if I can focus on this. It's kind of hard. There we go, feverfew. I believe our feverfew made it and is coming back. Back here we have some stingy nettle and some catnip. And over here is the blackberry. And it hasn't woke up yet, but it's only a matter of time. This bed here is a new addition. I found last year I had a Thornton tomato that did really well in the heat, and I had it in this corner. This corner probably gets the least amount of sunlight in our yard. We do live in the desert of southern Nevada, and the Thornton tomato survived a week of 120 degrees, and it actually put on very flavorful medium-sized tomatoes. So I'm planning on growing multiple Thornton tomatoes in this section. And the cool thing about those Thornton tomatoes, that was actually free seed that I got from the Baker Creek Seed Company when I purchased some other seeds. Hey, let me see if I can say your name right. Shahrukh Khan? Am I saying that right? Shahrukh Khan? We live in the desert of southern Nevada. Originally, I'm from Alaska, but we now live, my husband and I, in the desert of southern Nevada. So yesterday, I lowered these poles that the bubblers are on because last year I noticed it was really spraying on the side of the house, and that's probably not a good idea. Plus, once I get this garden bed cleaned out, I'm going to be planting quinoa in here and green beans, which are a companion plant. The green beans don't really like it here. They don't like it in the grow room. They don't really like it outside, but they are a good companion plant for quinoa, and it will stimulate the quinoa growing. I love quinoa. Don't know about the rest of you. So over here we have our apple tree. It's an Anna apple tree. This actually does really well in the desert. And I think part of why it does so well, let me see if I can adjust this camera lens. Part of why it does so well is it sets on early. It wakes up early. So we actually get a lot of apples on this Anna apple tree. And initially they're green like Granny Smith. And then if you're able to leave the apples on long enough, if it gets really hot, you got to pick them or it'll stress the tree. But if you're able to leave the apples on long enough, what happens is they turn kind of a golden color with crimson streaks. and they actually taste just like apple pie raw. It's amazing. So that's an Anna apple tree. Does really well in the heat of this desert. Over here we have a dwarf ruby red grapefruit. And this dwarf ruby red grapefruit is waking up. You can see that new growth coming up on this one. Last year we got 11. Hey, Gabe, welcome to the channel. Thanks for subbing. Thanks for subbing. So this is a dwarf ruby red grapefruit. And we've consistently grown large grapefruit, really sweet large red grapefruit on this. I mean, as big as a grocery store, right? And this is a very small tree. It's like almost as wide as I am tall, and it's really small. Has a very small footprint, but it's consistently put on 11 grapefruit. So I'm pretty excited about this tree. This tree has the potential to get 15 feet tall. And again, we are in the desert of southern Nevada. It gets quite hot here, and this tree has done really well. So I highly recommend this dwarf ruby red grapefruit. This is a mandarin, and it's also waking up. It's never actually put any fruit on for us. It did try to flower one year, so I'm hopeful. We've had it for a while. I'm hopeful that it will wake up and give us some fruit eventually. We'll see. I've learned to be patient. You don't really always know how long it takes for a tree to actually produce. They don't produce instantly. And it's not always easy to tell how old a tree is when you plant it. Now, granted, we planted this as a stick, so it was probably not very old, maybe 2 years old. When I say stick, it was just like a single cane with a few leaves on it, right? Over here we have our Anna almond. Oh, it's not an Anna almond. It's called an all-in-one almond. All-in-one almond. And what's cool about this tree is you only have to have one tree. It's self-pollinating, and it seems to handle our desert heat really well. We got quite a few almonds on it last year. And what I learned is I have to treat this with orchard spray because unfortunately our almonds were ruined by the leaf-footed beetle. Have you ever seen those? They're really ugly. They're kind of scary looking. I don't think they'll bite anybody, but they're really ugly. And what they do is they don't eat the almonds. They actually put their proboscis in them, or they lay the eggs on them, and the larva looks like extruded plastic. It's the weirdest thing you've ever seen. I didn't even know I had bug larva on it. I saw this stuff that looked like extruded plastic, and I broke it off, but it was too late. So all of our almonds got eaten by the larva of the leaf-footed beetle. So this year I will be spraying this with orchard spray, which has a combination of Bacillus thumburgaris, and I think it's called I can't say it, pyrithium. It comes from a daisy, right? So it's totally organic. So this is the all-in-one almond. Back here our pomegranates are waking up. Last year this put a lot of pomegranates on, but that heat made them all split. So we only got to eat about 10 of them because they split. Over here is our Meyer lemon tree. And if you've ever had a Meyer lemon, what's really cool about Meyer lemons is the skin is sweet on them. And I am really babying this tree and paying a lot of attention to it. It's covered with these buds. So two things that are a component other than fertilizing for getting these Meyer lemons to do well. Pruning is important, right? But water. And also, if it gets really windy after the blooms open up, I will wrap a sheet around it. We get a lot of wind here. And if it gets really windy, once these blooms open, your blooms will totally blow off and you won't get any fruit. So I'm really hopeful. I'm not planning on doing any work outside of the home this year. I'm really hopeful that I'm going to be able to supervise everything that we have growing, and we'll get a lot of lemons. Look at this. The other really cool thing is it smells like honey when they bloom. It smells so good. These are my seedlings that I'm hardening off here. I have some quinoa, red quinoa, and I have two types of eggplant, rotunda eggplant and the Black Beauty purple eggplant. In between I have onions. I'm going to try to grow the onions in the grow room. So once I remove the eggplant and transplant them, I'm going to spread the onions out and give them a little more space. These are some seeds that I started. I have to water. This is what I was doing in the grow room last night. Sunflowers, echinacea, stevia, St. John's wort, lemon basil, Genovese basil, purple basil, Veronica, black cumin, and what's this other one? Oh, self-heal. Yeah. So over here we have some amaranth, some quinoa, some Thai holy basil, some Thornton tomatoes, some really unhappy green beans. Over here we have chamomile. We have some spinach that didn't like the grow room. I've pretty much given up on regular spinach here. The Norwegian spinach does really well here, both in the grow room and outside. Some tomatillos, cucumbers, and some honey nut squash. The honey nut squash did not like the grow room. You gotta water this stuff. It looks a little dry, right? Okay, have you ever had a kumquat before? This tree is a superstar here in the desert. It's drought tolerant. It actually produced last summer despite our really, really hot weather. And there's one over here that I missed picking that I'm going to pick today. I'm going to put it in my juice. But this thing produces really, really nice fruit. Look at that. Let's just go ahead and pick it. It's easy to miss these, but these are really good. And actually, it's not going to be quite the flavor that I like now that it's been on the tree all year, right? But it's still really firm. And you eat the whole thing, skin and all. So it has kind of like a cross between a lemon and an orange flavor. And I actually have the seeds and dirt from it from last year. I saved seeds. I don't know if they'll come up. And it takes a long time, like I said earlier, to get fruit from a young tree, but we'll try, right? You don't know unless you try. Over here we have a fig. This fig is a rock star. And if you've never actually had a fresh fig, they are amazing. It's totally different than a dried fig. They are very sweet and moist, and there's a lot of ways you can eat them. Personally, I just like eating them. But I've also baked them with balsamic and, let's see, balsamic, cinnamon, and maple syrup or honey. Super delicious. I like them so much that I'm actually going to add, I have another fig here that my friend rooted from hers, and I have another fig that's rooted in the grow room. I'm going to add that one over here. This is our hot wall. This is a bird of paradise right here. Watch out for these things. They've got pokers on them. I got poked by one. I'm still trying to get the splinter out. This is a pistachio tree. And you have to have a male and a female of a pistachio tree. If you don't have a male and a female, you will not get any nuts. And this is very, very hardy, just like the kumquat in the desert. The most hardy things that I have growing in this yard are the fig tree, the kumquat, and the pistachio. Okay, here is our apricot tree that I dearly love. And I'm sad to report that it has a real problem with borers. I've tried really hard to treat this thing, and I haven't had any success. I don't know, this might be the last year we get any apricots off of it. I haven't given up on it yet. If anybody knows anything about borers, oh, I hate borers, let me know. Over here is another garden bed. This is the hot garden bed, and I need to do some cleanup out here to get this ready to plant. You can see over winter we had broccoli and cauliflower growing back here, and it's got nets over it because the birds, the rabbits, the rats, everything here tries to eat whatever you're growing. This is mullein. This overwintered just fine, and now you can see it's producing again. It should flower this year. I don't know if it'll just be a 2-year plant or if I'll get more years out of it. I'm trying to start some more from seed because this is a really amazing medicinal herb. And there is some Norwegian spinach and some mint in here. Those probably don't grow well together. I'm gonna have to take that Norwegian spinach out. Mint. Okay, this is lemon balm, and what's really cool about this lemon balm, it's just starting to come back, but it actually dumps seed and we have more lemon balm. So I'll be able to get a lot more lemon balm. It's great for cooking, it's good in teas. It also has medicinal benefits like relaxation. I'll be able to share some with a friend of mine that I think would benefit from a nice lemon balm tea. And that's about it. These are some mustard greens and, oh, I can't pronounce this one over here in the corner. Super good for you. Some onions. The rats kind of made short work. It could have been the rabbits. Most of the onions that I had growing outside here. Usually I have really good success with growing onions over winter, but unfortunately something was eating them. So that's why I'm trying to grow them in the grow room. I have some rosemary and some more mint over here. That's what we've got going on. And today I'm going to be trying to get a little more work done in the garden beds. Try to do a little bit of work every day. I need to amend the soil, rake up all the leaves that fell out of that big tree right there and get it cleaned up, right? You don't want to have leaves from trees in your garden bed. I know you can make compost with leaves, but you don't want leaves that fell out of a tree here in your garden bed because they have insect eggs on them, right? So that would just increase the insect population in your garden. The last really cool thing I have going in this garden, other than all this really wonderful aloe vera around the base of the yard, is this paddle cactus. What's really cool about paddle cactus is the young petals on these are edible. So you can actually peel them and cook with them and put them in your stir fries, right? They kind of have a bell pepper taste to them. And then when they bloom and make fruit, the fruit is super good in juice. Again, you have to peel it. It's got spines on it. And this last year, we actually made a barbecue sauce with the paddle cactus fruit, which turned out really great. And we made a wild wing sauce that turned out really great. You can check out my long videos if you want to learn how to do either of those two things. I did videos on that. But that's about all I have for an update today in the garden. I got to get some work done, so I'm going to let y'all go for the day. But I hope you have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.